Dignitas currently up 2-0 over Fnatic, and while that's impressive, we do have to remember one thing. At the Western Clash, Dignitas was up 2-0 over Fnatic, and then Fnatic bit back, got 3 and 4 games won, and that's where Dignitas took it out in game number 5.
Yeah, but for Fnatic right now, this is still rough, because once again, they basically have to do a reverse sweep. Now, we've seen one today already, so we could maybe see a second one, but in order for that to happen, Fnatic just has to play a cleaner game, because up to now, Dignitas has been the team running the show.
Yeah, and a cleaner game is definitely very possible. I mean, you mentioned it as we were going away from the broadcast there. Fnatic, if you are them, you're probably a little on the upset side. You made some really solid shot calling, but JPL with the hooks really coming out there and being decisive in the fights, and the lockdown with the KT bringing out the gravity laps was just a little bit too much. Going into game number 3, those mistakes, if they don't happen, Fnatic, I could have seen a world where they walk away with BOE.
Yeah, they had a couple of opportunities there where they could have made a comeback. You could argue they should have made a comeback. They had a couple of very unfortunate things happen to them. Breeze was at one point anchoring with the Nubarag, aiming for a potential flank, but then all of a sudden he gets found out and gets taken down. That hurt them and took the second keep away from them. But they also found a few spots where they could really drive a bit of the wedge between Dignitas, getting isolation kills that were really good for them, and which set Dignitas back. So both the teams just fighting on a very high level, but of course Dignitas, when it comes to it, just a little bit more decisive and more on point.
Well, it's time for Fnatic to earn a win. Let's figure out which battleground we're going to. For game number 3, it is going to be Infernal Shrines, as Fnatic will be having the first pick.
Yeah, Infernal Shrines, and this is going to be the one where Fnatic has to show up. Now they had 2 games to warm up, so to say, but now they have to show what they can do, unless they are okay with being taken out 3-0 here, and that would be an amazing position for Team Dignitas to be in.
Yeah, that's what they've been aiming for. They've been talking about it already on Twitter and such. They want to walk away with the 3-0, as it would really put them in the driver's seat.
Yeah, now let's once again just put it out there. If Fnatic loses with a 2-3, they're still in a good spot, because then it comes down to the scores of the last match that the 2 teams play. Because if then, let's say Fnatic has a better map score against their opponent than the match score that Dignitas has against theirs, they would still be number 1. If both of them finish their last series with the exact same match score, then it would come down to a tiebreaker. So if now 2 maps are taken by Fnatic, that would already help them. If they can do the reverse sweep, that would be the best case scenario. So there's still a couple of ifs and whens, and even if they lose with only taking 1 map, that would still put them in a position if Dignitas makes mistakes against their next opponent tricked, Fnatic could still come out ahead, but that's not really something that you want to bank your hopes on.
And there's still always the element of Team Liquid, too. We'll continue to talk about that over the next couple of days, but let's go ahead and figure out what you guys are talking about at home as we continue to get more tweets rolling in here. Simon Krupa, keep calm, boys and girls. Fnatic want to give us 5 games against Team Dignitas, like L5 in Korea region versus MC Black. Oh, so it's a strategy of, okay, we give our opponents the first couple maps, they get super confident, and then we make the comeback and destroy the morale.
Yeah, not really. Knowing Fnatic, they're not calm collected right now, but they need to be. And Dignitas, they are the ones. I would love 5 maps, just to see more of those, because the 2 games were really cool. There were so many small things and big things in terms of plays that both of them pulled off, which is fantastic to watch. I would be a bit sad if we see the 3-0, but for Dignitas, that would of course be the dream come true. So they are going to pour everything they have into the last battle.
Yeah, that's always the possible sad part, is where if you just look at the final score and you see a 2-0, you're like, oh, Dignitas destroyed. And while Dignitas is playing incredibly well, there were moments for Fnatic really brought in the heat. So hopefully here in Game 3, we can get them to earn a victory and continue the series to a Game 4 and possibly a Game 5, as Infernal Shrines will now begin between our 2 teams.
Infernal Shrines, and once again we're heading of course in our picks and bans. The first thing Fnatic takes out is Gul'dan, so no Horrify combos on the side of Dignitas, especially of course since they know how strong Mane is. And make no mistakes, these 2 teams are incredibly close. They banter on Twitter, these guys sit on the same TeamSpeaks, they practice a lot, they constantly play together, and they know very well about the strengths and weaknesses of the opponent. It's just really a matter of coordination at this point that sets Dignitas so far ahead.
And Fnatic gets Greymane for the Quack here for the first time here for them, and see if they can pull that off. That usually indicates that Fnatic is a little bit on the angry side. The last couple of times that they've lost a couple of matches and they immediately go into Greymane, they usually have a dominating performance.
Unleash the werewolf.
That's right.
So Dignitas with Arthas and Dehaka. Arthas great for the shrine control, also of course with the Frozen Tempest plus Dehaka. A lot of AoE, a lot of control, a lot of easy picks against the minions so that you can get the objective. whereas Fnatic heads straight into a Nubrak and Malfurion. And you can really tell at this point that both the teams have a very clear idea of what they are trying to do here, especially when we're talking about setting up a core for their team.
Yep, Arthas is that frontline tank for Dignitas, Dahaka for the flanks. I mean, Zelia, every time he's on Dahaka, he's almost Dark Monk-like in terms that he never makes mistakes. In fact, I might even start to say that Zelia is a little bit better on the Dahaka than even Dark Monk. But again, Dignitas here, setting themselves up for a very strong front line. Sylvanas has been banned out. Fnatic will not get the opportunity, and Fnatic themselves take away the fall stat.
They make sure that there's no double global for Dignitas. The one thing they don't want to end up with is a situation in which Dignitas can checkmate them in the late game with a double global and just running the macro game. Trying to go into that late game, use the globals, and then just play the map more so than the team fight. And right now, it's a very fast draft up to this point at least. Both of the teams with a very, very clear idea of what they want and what they want to deny the opponent. Now, of course, they're getting down to the nitty-gritty where Dignitas has first of all to decide of their support. Could pick it last, but I think they're going to be trying to be a little bit more flexible on the last pick. So I would assume that we are now going to see the support for them and one of the damage dealers. Could see a Lucio here again. And then the question, of course, being who do they pair with that? Do we see something like a Tychus with this setup? Lucio would benefit a Tychus as well as the Arthurs if they go down that path.
There's always a question of do you want cleanse or not cleanse too as well when you're facing off against a new bracket and you don't know the 4th or 5th pickup. They're going to go ahead and go for Lucio and Lily. We now have our first Alila here of HGC Europe.
Someone is looking for an adventure.
That's right. We're going to go find some flowers and stuff. So Lily now has been buffed in terms of the E damage here, so she has a little bit more damage overall. And she also has the best heroic in the game, Water Dragon, with the best 20 Storm talent, Double Dragon.
The Double Dragon, indeed. Not sure we're going to see that.
Unfortunately. Maybe we'll get in the future.
There's a good chance that we are seeing a bit more damage from them. But the one thing to note is also that, at least when we're looking at the European scene, while we have a lot of double supports looking into Hero League, the meta has become much stronger. The one thing that is noteworthy is that so far in HGC Europe games, double support has not really been very successful. So there's, of course, a huge difference between playing in Hero League environment and playing on a competitive level where coordination and communication is just so much better. Since decisive attacks against specific heroes and the resulting kill takes a lot away from what double support is supposed to provide to you, whereas in a less coordinated environment, double support is getting even more momentum. So Fnatic is looking for these decisive kills with the Ragnaros and the ult with Zeratul here. They are trying to blow up a target since they know if the fight is long and drawn out, they are going to struggle to keep up with the sustain that Lily and Lucio provide.
Yeah, but Lily also good for dropping down that Greymane. Soft counter with those blinds being available, making it hard for Greymane to go in for those dives and get those kills. Now, we need some damage here from Dignitas. Do you just go straight into an auto attacker, or you just go for pure mechanics overall?
They still need a hero for... I assume that Mena is going to be on the last hero. I think that we are seeing Snitch on Snitch and Zelia deciding between the Lily here. For now, with the last one, I would prefer the auto attacker. Then again, Mena is usually more prone to play the... Okay, I like that, I think. But yeah, Mena is usually the one playing more of the mages, but auto attacker would also work for him. This is changing the pace completely because now we do not have a range damage dealer.
Yeah, we have the Cassia here, who has a short range. I believe it's, what, 4.5, if I remember correctly, which is a very small range. If, for instance, Vala is a 5.5. So now suddenly Cassia is going to be in a spot where she cannot get locked down. If she gets locked down by the Void Prison, a Severe Smash, and a Root, Cassia dies. But if Cassia never gets locked down, she has her trait proccing, and she's going to be putting out a solid amount of defense. And while she has Lily and Lucio keeping her topped off, in terms of full sustained fights, right now, Dignitas has an incredible way to defend against that, or defend that Cassia.
Now, there's a couple of things to be pointing out here. First of all, Fnatic also doesn't have this strong, dedicated range damage dealer. They have a Greymane, but Greymane's idea is, in the end, to jump in as well. They have Zeratul going to a potential backline, and they also have the Ragnaros with the ult. But right now, Dignitas finds themselves still in a spot where if they engage into a battle, they more or less have to commit it. Yes, Lucio negates, or Lucio helps you to disengage, but with a full melee setup, it becomes a lot harder. So Fnatic is going, both of the teams are going to clash in these team fights and lock into them pretty hard and try to make this work. But also Dignitas doesn't have a lot of burst heal. They have basically none at this point. So that is one of the things to consider here for sure. But of course, having the 2 supports should help against a lot. But Fnatic is going to look to get a kill super fast in these fights.
And Shrine Control didn't cost us a hard time here. It's Arthas and Dahaka that really controls the Shrine, but Gul'dan, or Greymane, Ragnaros, and Zeratul, they can clear out waves pretty well, especially if you use that Molten Core. We'll see how it shapes out here for Shrines. This is the 3rd game in our best-of-5 series. Fnatic and Dignitas facing off, Cassia and Lily, hoping to take on the dog Greymane.
It's a 2-0 lead for Team Dignitas as they head into the 3rd map in this best-of-5 series. Fnatic, they need to bring their A-game to take down a team that has showed no weakness here today. The double support on the side of Dignitas. We have currently Zelia on Dehaka, JPL on Arthas, Bakery on Lucio. Snitch is taking Lily, and Mena is playing Cassia.
Fnatic on the right side in the red. We're going to have Smexy playing Malfurion. We're going to have Greymane being played by Quacknix. Breeze will be on the Anubrak, Schwimpy on Ragnaros, and last but not least, Wubby on Zeratul.
Wubby on the Zeratul here, so once again he's going to try and jump into that backline to get a bit of damage done. The question of course still remaining, can he pull that off? They struggled hard in the first game where they were trying to run with the Zeratul. Different map, different composition. Is this going to change here? Are they starting to make a comeback in the series as they already show aggression to the top lane, dropping one of the towers? JPL with a lockdown attempt, but Quacknix moves out of the Howling Blast range.
There's a couple ways that Fnatic can take on this team for Dignitas, as in straight up fights going to be bit hard to hold sustain. You can go for the burst, which we've already talked about. The Void Prison, the Anubrak Lockdown, Malfurion Root, and Sophia Smash, Greymane damage. You can take down 1 member, which significantly makes the comp much weaker for Dignitas. Oh, hang on, Zelly trying to go out for, does not burrow away. There's also the whole macro play too, where you just focus on the objective or you keep out-rotating your opponent, which is pretty difficult to pull off against a Dahaka, but one of the ways that Fnatic can move in, and they play aggressive in the top lane experience.
Yeah, they're trying to just show from the get-go who is the one wearing the pants in this setup. So far, Dignitas was the one running the show. There's absolutely no doubting that. The 2-0 lead already pretty dominantly stating that, but also the way they achieved it with very good coordination, nearly no mistakes to exploit on the side of Fnatic, and now again a setup. The root is in, Quacknix with the damage, unlikely to drop Arthas, but as long as they get some free damage in, they'd be happy about it. Dignitas reacts though. They're moving in with everything that they have. Now Fnatic comes to fight. Here comes the drag against Ragnaros. He is trying to turn this around. Wubby jumps out. They're going for Cassia. Mena is down. A big brawl here happening in the early game, and so far Fnatic getting the upper hand.
What a brawl. The lockdown being enough there. Cassia stopping moving for a second and a half with the lockdown from Anubrak and the body blocks, and eventually she does fall. Dignitas though, going down with a fight as they had Finn damage coming out, and Zeratul almost got taken out.
Yeah, Zeratul just barely got away from this one. Again, they're going for Dehaka. The root is in. The burrow use Bakery attempting to help out. Looks like Dehaka is going to fall, and Fnatic is angry.
Yeah, they're coming out and looking for kills. That is going to be the 3rd one of the game, but 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Now, the Shrine phase does spawn to the very top. Fnatic will start to rotate on over as Ragnaros is already up there with a 5-minion lead overall, but Dignitas needs to take the time to get level 4.
Yeah, they definitely do, but they already move in with 2 more heroes, so Ragnaros is moving out, playing it safe. Keep in mind, Cassia with a level 1 here, going for the charged strikes, an absolutely fantastic level 1 talent, one of the best in the game at this point. Activatable to increase the basic attack damage by 25%, pretty brutal, and also in a position where you have a bit of bounce damage to heroes in the area. It looks a bit like, for now, Fnatic is actually in a spot where they are willing to just dance around that shrine, not really too focused on it if they can get a good trade-off on the other lanes, but Dignitas reacts accordingly and makes sure that's not happening. Mid lane, on the other hand, that's where the action starts once more.
And we have Lily. Do remember that she's building into the E build here, so going to be blinding as many members as possible, which is going to synergize very well with Cassia and her level 4. Hang on here, as Breeze taking some damage, Quacknix does get out. Now, talk about that level 4 here. We have the pickup of Ring of the Leech.
Yep, Ring of Leech, and that's a great talent if you're in the nitty-gritty, if you're all the way up in the front and you're just trying to get some extra sustain for yourself, especially, of course, when you heal for extra, you heal against targets that you blinded before. So that's basically the gist of it. And against someone that has a very melee-heavy setup, that's fantastic if you can go in and then with a Fend damage, just make that work. Once again, though, a bit of aggression against JPL. Smexy not getting ready for the root just yet. But we have still Fnatic in a bit of a lead when it comes down to the minion count, but it looks like they are actually willing to give it up and instead trade experience in the mid lane for it.
Yep, they wanted to get level 7 here before they move in to rotate to stop Dignitas from grabbing their own here, as Mane and Snitch will start to clear out the shrine, and their clear here between Lili and Cassia is pretty darn poor. Dignitas not really hoping to grab this shrine, they're just trying to start it.
Yeah, Ragnaros is once again there. Also, just to say that as well, earlier, Grease was super slow on that stun. He was very patient on it, making sure that he only uses his stun and then the burrow away to make sure that they can escape, not throwing it out too early and allowing someone to sidestep it. So that's one of the things that is very crisp in the play that we see from Fnatic on this map. And it looks really like a little bit more comfortable with the situation they're in. And they should be. They're a level ahead, they have the Punisher, they're looking very strong here, and it's an Arcane Punisher on top of it, so that should give them the power to go through the fort at the top lane, especially since the wall has already been destroyed.
Dahaka got 7 for his teammates here, can rotate in while Lili's in the middle dealing with the Ragnaros. Could be a rotation here from Dahaka to go for a fight, but Fnatic taking the opportunity, as you mentioned, with his Punisher to push in the top left and take out the fort, and it will fall easily here as Quacknix burns out the damage.
Great instructors, they go for Cassia. Menas Mexi wants the root, he gets it, and here comes Quacknix once again, but Bakery with a save goes in with a Lucio, gets the boop out, pushes them away, and makes sure that they can retreat. Cassia still falling though, getting picked off by Wooby to the side.
Yeah, Zeratul came in from the side and brought off that damage, took her out quickly, surprisingly so, with Lucio floating around too to keep her alive. Sadly does not occur, and Fnatic with a massive lead this game.
Yeah.
9 3/4, almost hitting 10.
Exactly, they're almost 10, and this is one of the reasons why Fnatic is a little bit cautious to engage here in the middle. They have to be careful with this. They're still doing it after Zelia shows up with a threat of a drag, but level 10 would be fantastic now. Cassia, of course, also on level 7, heading into the Impale here, but Mine is definitely not having a good game thus far. Very different from what we've seen when he played Chromie. Even though there was a Zeratul on the other side, he made the big plays happen, and Fnatic right now is apparently trying to pay him back in kind.
Well, getting this Impale at level 7 here gives him the kill potential. When an enemy falls below 50%, 50% increased damage hits there from Finn, which again will synergize with the Lili blind as well as his own blind, so if he gets low, he can bait someone into an engagement, drop down the blind, go in for the E, apply damage to opponent, kill them off, and get topped off in healing. So the Finn damage build is actually really strong, especially against potential warriors. If you can get on top of a Nubrak here or Ragnaros, you take them out and move forward.
Yeah, we also have, of course, now still additional blinds that are stacked on top of this thanks to the Lili. It's one of the ideas behind this setup that we are seeing for Dignitas. Also, Curse Bullet, the level 10s are definitely making all the difference here. And Dignitas could actually... Oh! Cocoon.
Cool.
Nice! To stop Zelia from tunneling away, they want the kill, and Dignitas accepts it. Dignitas does not even move in, they're not even trying. This is going to be a kill. Zelia can delay it a bit, but this is definitely a good moment for Fnatic to secure that kill, since there's only another 10 seconds until the next shrine appears on the map.
Yep, just buying some time here. 10 will be hitting soon. We'll have to Dahaka back in 15 seconds, so Dignitas frantically grabbing whatever they can with Arctis in the middle and 3 members in the bottom. Clearing out the waves, and 10 will now hit. We're going to have our ball of lightning here, and it is going to be the Water Dragon.
Yep, Water Dragon is in play, and already Fnatic on the shrine. That's where they need to be. Dahaka, of course, can burrow in now. He's back to business. Burrows in from behind, tries to go for Malfurion. And here comes the silence. He's down, but he's still got the Twilight Dream through. Can Fnatic capitalize on it? It does not look like it. They don't get a counter kill, and with Smexy down, Dignitas is all of a sudden taking control of the shrine and start to take the lead in the minion count.
They are in a good spot here, 19 to 12 in terms of count. Zeratul and Ragnaros are aware they're not going to win the shrine phase. They just head to the middle here to soak. Ragnaros in the very top as well. Should rotate down at some point here to use that Molten Core for defense as he clears at the top, but he's just looking for 13 for his team.
It's just seen Fnatic trying to delay with the cocktail a bit. Every single minion that you can take away just slows down Dignitas' Punisher by a few seconds, and the lanes are pushed out. Ragnaros went to the top for the experience. Of course, ideally they want to have level 13, which makes it incredibly difficult for Dignitas to push in with a Punisher. They even want the kill. They go in with a Cocoon. They're fighting on top of it right now. So we are going to see Ragnaros with an ult most likely very soon. Yep, there we have it. And goodbye, Arthurs. And again, the Void Prison. They're not stopping here.
They are moving in. The ball lightning does come out here. It does get stopped, though, from Dignitas. Dignitas trying to retreat here. Snitch hoping out for the blinds. He brings the heal. The fast feet is not enough. Lili can't run away.
Lili looking for adventure and finding only death. It's a savage world out there.
Yeah, it's a sad story, man. It feels really bad. Looking for adventure, but gets death of Raw. Mane attempting to live here. He will bring out the blinds for the heals, but it will not be enough. And Fnatic with the Punisher pushing for Dignitas, instead gets a third fort and 3 kills.
Yes, they indeed do. So Fnatic at this point in a spot where they have an 8-1 kill lead, and they lost the Punisher. They lost the Punisher and it did basically nothing to them. They got kill after kill after kill, just diving deep, and this time their combo works out so much better for them. They dive in with the Anubarak, they get the Cocoon, Malfurion puts down the roots, Ragnaros capitalizes with the ult, and Greymane, if need be, starts the entire initiation process with a quick Curse Bullet. Incredible crisp by them, much better than what we've seen on the last 2 maps by Fnatic, but Dignitas, they are not out of this yet. Can they fight on level 13 and bring the team fight to Fnatic? That's the question now.
That is the question, but they have to get 13 first, and Dahaka's working out on the top, Dilly hoping to get his teammates that level 13 for their next talent. Fnatic taking the moment to push in the middle. They get a turret, it's going to go down. They have a second one getting low on health, but with 13 just around the corner, and Dahaka may be rotating in. They'll peel off and put Ragnaros in the bottom.
Breeze once again burrowing away, staying a bit longer just to cover the retreat. Fnatic nearly with a 3-level lead, 2.5 at this point. We see them taking the camps on the map up to the top, down to the bottom, and Dignitas scrambling to get more experience. They're so close to 13, that would be an opportunity for them to maybe fight on even talents. Problem is that Fnatic is very unwilling to give them this battle. They want to wait for another half level until they had level 16 talents, and that power spike should be all they need to secure themselves another Punisher with the upcoming Immortal phase.
As they should. Try not to fight your opponents when you're at a disadvantage here. Dahaka's in the bottom left. Working on getting the experience here. 13 has finally hit, and there is still a quarter level available for Fnatic to get that 16. And the Impale comes out. Breeze just not allowing the engage to happen. And Fnatic's actually looking a little bit frantic. They're wanting to get into a fight, but they also know they need Ragnaros to get 16. Ragnaros is getting it here in the middle. Fnatic hoping to set up for it. JPL anchoring on the bottom right.
They're going straight for JPL here. I'm a little bit surprised. Sound barrier used. They're trying to disengage. And Water Dragon comes out. Dahaka is here. Schwimpy is dragged. Emily Smexy is moving in. 16 is on the other hand on the board, and that's a double. It's a triple. Fnatic goes in and obliterates Cassia, Lucio, and Arthurs. Snitch is running and should be able to get away. He gets rooted and taken down as well. It's a quad kill.
Fnatic taking out 4 members. Dahaka just heads to the bottom lane, and Fnatic starts to push in, and they go for a keep. And with 10 seconds before even Lucio is on the field, 3 other members joining afterwards, Fnatic would get the easy keep. Solid engage from them. You can see what Dignitas did there. They thought they had one chance to win a team fight. If they lose the Punisher, they wouldn't be able to handle the Punisher pushing in, so they went in for the movement, and it just did not pay off.
I can totally understand Dignitas is engaged. Fnatic was a bit early on flipping the switch here. They didn't have 16 when the fight started. They were hoping for a quick kill against Arthurs, but then in the middle of the fight, their 16 was ready, and they immediately capitalized on it. They also had a great position here. Once again, the Twilight Dream coming out, and then just kill after kill racking in. Dignitas double support Cassia comp, just not working out for them.
Not working out here. Dignitas need 16. They are a level and a half away from that. And Dahaka is keeping up with the normal of pushing. He's pushing in the bottom lane, working on grabbing that. Now Fnatic has started up the Shrine phase. They're at 39-4. They can grab it whenever they would like, and they're going to try and set themselves up to have the push happening here with the Mercenary Camp and for when their heroics are up. All of them are up in 10 seconds when now Furion's Twilight Dream becomes available.
Lily, of course, with that E build the entire time, but this is the Frozen Punisher moving in, and if there's one stun lock, one hero that falls on the side of Dignitas, Fnatic can end this. Of course, Dignitas is attempting to bait the Punisher into the middle. That's their goal right now. Try to bait it towards the keep, away from the core. They're looking for it. Here's Ragnaros already with a Molten Core. Fnatic, they want to close this out. Cocoon is used, but has been immediately taken out. Fnatic is on their core. They're moving in. They're trying to drop it. The Punisher is helping out. Water Dragon is already on the board. The Twilight Dream is moving in as we have Dignitas losing Snitch. No, he gets away, but barely.
He gets away, gets the basic heals up, and Wubby is going to fall. The Punisher continues to shell away here. Snitch low on health. JPL does fall as well. Quacknick's burning members on the back right. We still have Cassia working on killing the Breeze. He finally does fall, but the core, as you mentioned, continues to fall. Down to 10%, down to 2%, and Fnatic will get a win in the series, and we are going to a game number 4.
We are indeed. We have Fnatic showing up with a completely different form, turning Super Saiyan on Infernal Shrines and showing a very different performance than in the previous games, especially compared to Towers of Doom, our first map here. A 2-1 as we are going to head into game number 4.
And I like the aggression, how it was ramped up here in the early game. Fnatic got more aggressive with their calls. They had 3 kills before 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and they just kept up with it throughout the entire game. Every time they had a slight talent advantage, they went in and went for the kill.
So again, to put this in perspective, a 3-1 does not help Fnatic. A 3-1 victory on the side of Dignitas would still put Dignitas into the driver's seat. What Fnatic needs at least today in order to make it happen with their own control is win a second map. Ideally, they win the series, but if they win a second map and Dignitas takes a 3-2 victory over Fnatic, then they would be completely tied. And it all comes down to the last day, to the last match that they play there. So if they end the games that they still have to play with the same score against the opponent's team, then we would have a complete tie situation between the two teams. If one of them screws up just a little bit, that would give the other one the edge to make the #1 spot. So the one thing that Fnatic needs right now to still maintain control is to at least win the next map.
One more game. Dignitas, it's great they pull something out cute here in game number 3, but going into game number 4, expect something normal from them. We'll be right back with game number 4. This is the HGC.